This little blanket on my lap is so wonderful. We're going to learn to make one of these today. It's heated, it's cozy, it's warm. It helps if you have stiff muscles to relieve the soreness on your neck or your back or wherever your stiff muscles are. I made it out of UFOs, and today we're going to make another one out of yardage. I will show you simple yardage to make it with. You could make it with Christmas fabric for Christmas presents for people, or you can just make one that's beautiful for you to use yourself. I put right sides together and I'm ready to go. I'm going to stitch on 3 sides. That's just the first step, and it's very easy. This pattern is from Amy Simmonds. She is from Stitched by Starlight, and you can get complete free directions from her website. Just find it in our description below. I do things a tiny bit different than she does, but the result is fabulous, whichever way you decide to do it. I have my seams a little bit larger than a 1/4 inch, probably about a 1/2 inch. And then I trimmed those corners and I'm flipping it around. This is a sewing trick that those of you who have sewn or been seamstresses know. My sister taught this to me when I was a little girl. You take the sides and you pull the seam so that it comes out all the way, because you don't want to press it and have it folded. I want it to be square. So what you're seeing me do is just reach in, grab where that seam is and pull it, and then press it so that it's flat. And on these corners I take a pin, and this is the part my sister taught me. I just push the little pin in and flip it out till it's a pretty good corner. That's why we clip across it, is so that it won't have too much bulk in there and it can come out to be the corner. Stay a few threads away though, because you don't want threads to poke out. After you get your corners all beauty and ready to go, then we have one more step to prepare it before we get to start the real fun. You just take that top that we haven't stitched and I press it down a little more than a 1/2 inch, about a 1/2 inch. You can tell I'm not measuring. You just press it till it's going to be even and happy. I lay it out to make sure it's nice and flat and looks like it's going to be even. The next step is top stitching around the 3 sides that I've already sewn on. You don't want to top stitch where we just pressed, just the 3 sides. And we're doing this so that it's extra secure and extra strong so it can hold the filling. When you get to the corner, just don't sew off it, turn the corner and start the other direction. What this does is seal in that inside seam. As I come to the end, I do like I did in the beginning, and I just backstitch a little so that those stitches won't come out. This is one of those projects that you're going to be so impressed with yourself when you're done. So now that everything's stitched and ready to go, I'm taking tailor's chalk. That's what the little white thing in my hand is. And first I'm pressing it in half because I'm finding the channels. So I also pressed that 1/2 into a 1/4. I don't want to keep pressing, so close enough is close enough with this project. I take my tailor's chalk and I mark that line. It's hard to see with the camera, but I can see it really well with my eye. You don't need it to be too dark, just light enough to follow. So I use the tailor's chalk and I mark where I pressed. So there are 3 lines that I need to sew on. I'm making channels to hold the filling. I'm very carefully making sure that the top is lined up because I don't want it to be really far off when I sew it. So even though I'm sewing from the bottom to the top, I'm going to work really hard to make sure that this stays square. And again, close enough is close enough. We're going to fill this. You won't even notice. I'm being careful not to push. I'm letting it gently guide itself. And as I get there, I realize, oh, the green's a little less than the pink. Okay, let's tug and make it work the best I can. And the best I can is going to be good enough. Cut yourself some slack while you do this and just have fun. With these 3 seams sewn in, they kind of guide the rest of where I need to sew. We need a line between every one of these spaces. We're going to end up with 8 channels total. And if you don't have tailor chalk, it's very inexpensive, but if you don't want to buy it, you could just press in those spots and sew on the pressed line. You don't have to go buy tailor chalk. Now it's time to mark the grid in the other direction, which is what you're seeing me do. I'm doing it exactly like we did it before. Cut it in half, then do those halves in half, and that makes the 3 lines, and then we're going to put lines in between those. Some people worry about the tailor's chalk, but my experience is it just kind of wears off. You're going to use this in the microwave, and it just doesn't matter. Here is my favorite thing to use. I use feed corn. It has no chemicals on it. I love how it smells. My sister hates how it smells. She uses rice. And Amy, who has the blog that taught me this, she also uses rice. So if you want to use rice, go ahead. It's about a little heaping tablespoon, and you're watching me fill it. You put a heaping tablespoon, just kind of a little heaping, not too heaping, in every channel lock. And then you push all that feed corn down, and you can pin it. Pinning it holds the feed corn in place and keeps it from slipping up as much. I don't really pin it till the end. I'll show you when we get there. I like to just stop and play with it every time. I push it down with my fingers, I stay on the chalk line, and I sew my channel. And what I'm doing is I'm locking this tablespoon plus-ish into every little square grid spot. And as soon as I get to the end, I do a little back stitch, and we're ready to start again. And this part just makes me happy. This is why it doesn't matter how perfect your sewing is, nobody's going to know. Look, I made a funnel so you could be impressed that you can make a funnel too. Just take some stiff piece of paper. I even took pretty paper, put your tablespoon in, and does it go in easier? Well, yeah, it does. And so making one of these is a good idea. Do I do it when you're not watching? No, I fight with the little measuring spoon because I guess I like fighting with measuring spoons because truly having the funnel works better. Notice I backstitch again. You just continue this process all the way until you've worked your way up the grid, filling every little channel, every little square. Here's 2, and now it's all the way to the top. And you simply continue to go. Now, when I get to the top, I pin them all because as it drapes over the sewing machine, the feed corn or the rice, if you're using rice, or some of you might use flaxseed, you can use that too, it could fall out. So using pins towards the end really isn't an option. You kind of have to put a pin in or you won't be able to contain your filling. So this last one is the trickiest of all, and you just simply make sure you pin it. And I pin it very carefully inside because you have to be able to sew along that edge, and you don't want any of your filling to get under the needle of your sewing machine. You do have to take care with this last row. So as we sew it to a close, we're almost there. And the benefit of this is that you can give them as gifts. You can use them for yourself. I had a backache the other night, and it just made my muscles relax enough to really help. If you like these, you can do them in any kind of way. I want to show you though, if you're going to use quilt blocks, you can have it be a little bit of a different size as long as it's close in size. And as you do the borders, you have 3 borders that are the size they are. And then remember how we have to fold under that top border? Make it a 1/2 inch bigger than it should be, so that it's 1/2 inch bigger than the other borders. And that way, when you press it down and sew around it, it's going to look like it's the same size when you're done. So it really is fun. If you want to do something for someone special to give a heated little blanket, it looks like you worked so hard. Use UFOs. These are just old UFOs. If you're worried about not being able to wash these, don't worry. The microwave will disinfect them. Put them in your clean microwave and they'll be hot and disinfected and ready to use. My microwave likes 2 minutes. I wonder how much yours will need. Stay merry and creative.